Welcome to Islamabad United podcast, hosted and produced by Backward Point. मेरा नाम है नजर सैयद
और मैं हूं बशार।
और आज के हमारे गेस्ट थे the one, the only Rehanul Haq, the life and blood of Islamabad United. We had the privilege of sitting with him for over an hour and हमने बहुत मजे की बातें की।
हमने उनसे बात की कि उन्होंने इस्लामाबाद ज्वाइन कैसे किया, विनिंग 2 चैंपियनशिप इन द फर्स्ट 3 years, उनकी रिलेशनशिप विद डीन जोन्स, और अभी रिसेंटली जो ट्रेड्स हुए पीएसएल में, फेमसली द नसीम शाह ट्रेड, उसकी पीछे स्टोरी क्या थी, और उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस वर्किंग विद द पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट टीम एज अ मैनेजर।
Rehan talks from the heart and straight from the heart. This podcast was revolutionary for us. The stories that he had to share और जिस emotionality के साथ वो सारी चीजें बात discuss करते हैं, it's lovely to see. Please sit back and enjoy the full podcast with Rehanul Haq on Islamabad United podcast.
Rehanul Haq, welcome to the Islamabad United podcast. Great to have you here with us.
Thank you. I think I'm always here with Islamabad United. So
You've actually been with Islamabad since the beginning, or I mean, even before the beginning, if I want
Yeah,
to say.
yeah.
So, do you want to share the story of how you got involved with Islamabad since day one?
yeah, I think it's a pretty weird and interesting story because I remember PSL when the teams were sold to the 6 different franchise owners. So Hassan Chima and myself wrote an email to all 6 franchises, and I'm just going to say it on record. And so we got a couple of responses, and we spoke to Islamabad United and Ali Naqvi. We spoke to at the time, and then I spoke to Dino. It was very clear where we wanted to go. That was our wish. But to actually get that done, कि Dino का कहना कि यार ठीक है, आ जाओ तुम लोग.
क्या था आपकी email message जिसने इनको convince कर दिया?
So it was about, so basically, I've been writing on different sports for a long time, at the time as well. तो मैं football पे भी लिखता था. Cricket के ऊपर so I'm basically a math guy. So basically मैं उस पे था कि we can assist you with the draft. And because we follow American sports और हम because different leagues follow करते हैं, तो we can help you with the draft and help you picking the players, and we can come up with permutations कि कौन सा player कब available होगा. तो let's try this. So when I remember when I first spoke to Dino, it's probably one of the most life-changing experiences for me personally, and I still say where I am today is because of Dean Jones, because the trust that he showed in me, the trust that he showed in Hassan Chima as well. So huge credit to Dino, huge credit to Ali Naqvi, Amna Naqvi, who trusted us in those first years. And I still remember, it's a very funny thing that we had lost 4 out of the first 6 games in the first season, and a lot of my friends were doing it at the PSL at the time as well. Ahmed Naqvi was one of them. Shoaib Naveed was one of them. Imran Ahmed Khan as well. So I remember when we won the season, so I think Ahmed asked I think he asked Dino or someone, कि जब 4 हारे थे 6 में से, तो तुम्हें था कि इन दोनों को निकाल दें.
Ahmed is the type of guy who would ask
Yeah.
those questions.
So I think I remember Dino said something along the lines of, no, not at all. I trusted their process and all. So I'm always thankful to him. Wasim Akram is another one I'm really thankful to. So we did write an email to everyone, but these guys were kind enough to share what they wanted from us, and we could in turn share what we wanted from them. And शॉकिंगली जब ड्राफ्ट खत्म हुआ तो मुझे लगा था यहाँ तक ही काम है. आई बी ऑनेस्ट विद यू, मुझे था यहाँ तक काम है, बस ठीक है, टीम पिक हो गई, अब खत्म कहानी. तो आई रिमेंबर देन आई वाज ऑफर्ड कि आप एज टीम मैनेजर कंटिन्यू करेंगे. तो मुझे जेन्युइनली कुछ नहीं पता था कि टीम मैनेजर क्या करता है. तो आई रिमेंबर PSL 1 की थी, तो मुझे नहीं पता टीम मैनेजर करता क्या है. वी जस्ट डिड PSL 1, एंड हाफ वे थ्रू द सीजन आई रियलाइज्ड, आई वाज एक्चुअली टोल्ड बाय समवन कि ये जो तुम काम कर रहे हो ना, इसके लिए तुम्हारे पास लिएजन ऑफिसर है who can help you with these things.
You're like doing everything.
Yeah, so then I realized, oh, that's why we have a liaison officer. so yeah.
I think this is a really good question. आपने बड़ा अच्छा segue कर लिया to our main question that we had for you was exactly team manager करता क्या है?
अच्छा,
What is the job description?
अच्छा, so basically हर जगह डिफरेंट जॉब डिस्क्रिप्शन है. टीम मैनेजर, मैंने पाकिस्तान टीम के साथ भी काम किया है, वहाँ पे मोस्टली ऑपरेशंस लॉजिस्टिकल आपकी पोजीशन होती है. एट इस्लामाबाद फ्रॉम डे वन, डीनो गेव अस अ वेरी क्लियर आइडेंटिटी एंड रोल के यू गेव योर इनपुट ऑन व्हाट द 11 वुड बी, व्हाट द टीम वुड बी. एंड बेसिकली मेरा जितना भी करियर बना है इज बेस्ड ऑन दैट, कि टीम मैनेजर इज एन नाउ एन इवॉल्व्ड रोल, जहाँ पर सिर्फ ऑपरेशंस लॉजिस्टिक्स नहीं. ऑपरेशंस लॉजिस्टिक्स के लिए आपके पास लिएजन ऑफिसर होता है, यू कैन हायर एन ऑपरेशंस मैनेजर और लॉजिस्टिक्स मैनेजर, एंड द टीम मैनेजर जॉब इज टू ओवरसी एवरीथिंग, एंड ऑल्सो देन वर्क ऑन प्लेयर डेवलपमेंट इन नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ कोचिंग. हम कोचिंग नहीं कर सकते मेरे पास. मैं बार बार सबको ये बताता हूँ कि व्हेन अ प्लेयर डज वेल, इट्स ऑल ऑन द प्लेयर. ठीक है, किसी और का क्रेडिट नहीं है, मेरा क्रेडिट नहीं है अगर कोई प्लेयर अच्छा करता है। मेरा काम ये है कि मैं उस प्लेयर को कॉन्फिडेंस दूँ। मेरा काम ये है कि कोई प्लेयर मेरी टीम में खेल रहा है, तो मैं उसको फुली एश्योर करूँ कि वी आर हियर टू लुक आफ्टर यू व्हेन यू गो थ्रू बैड टाइम्स। बिकॉज़ आई थिंक जसप्रीत बुमराह ने भी लेटली एक वो इंस्टाग्राम स्टोरी लगाई थी कि व्हेन यू आर नॉट डूइंग वेल नो वन इज देयर टू सपोर्ट यू, बट कांग्रेचुलेशंस के मैसेज तो सब भेजते हैं।
Yeah.
तो आई थिंक दैट्स वन ऑफ द मेन जॉब्स, मैन मैनेजमेंट is one of the main jobs. So it's very different in franchise cricket and international cricket. In franchise cricket, you actually are involved with everything from team selection to how you want to play, the style of cricket you want to play. Whereas at international cricket, it's different. And वो भी depend करता है कि आप किस तर्ज के बोर्ड के साथ काम करें, क्या आपका रोल है। सो फॉर एग्जांपल एट द वर्ल्ड कप आई रियलाइज कि एवरी टीम हैड अ ऑपरेशंस मैनेजर एंड अ लॉजिस्टिक्स मैनेजर, and I was a team manager who was doing all operations and logistics as well. So that was a bit of an eye opener for me कि अच्छा, teams actually have these people who do this work, so I don't need to do this.
What was the vast difference between managing the two teams, Islamabad United and Pakistan cricket team?
I think Islamabad United, I'll be very honest with you, is very close to my heart. It's very close to my heart because I think I've been involved from day one, and a lot of things that have happened in the franchise, from the image of the franchise, the Dimag se concept and everything. It's very close to. I take it very personally when Islamabad United ki baat hoti hai. At the Pakistan team, there's a culture that's lasted for 70 years. So all you can do is enhance that culture. So I mean, I tried my best to enhance that culture. I tried my best कि पिछले लोगों ने जो काम अच्छा किया हुआ है उसको कैरी फॉरवर्ड करूं. तो a lot of times what happens is कि एक नया बंदा आता है, वो कहता है यार पिछले वाले सारे बकवास थे.
Hmm.
तो आई रिमेंबर मैंने पाकिस्तान टीम ज्वाइन की थी, तो पिछले वाले लोग अच्छे थे. मंसूर राना डिड अ ग्रेट जॉब, एंड आई एम नॉट समवन हु इज गोइंग टू से कि ओ यार मंसूर भाई तो ये नहीं ठीक करते थे, वो नहीं ठीक करते. तो आई ट्राई टू कैरी ऑन हिज लेगेसी. And similarly, with Islamabad, I take it more personally than at the Pakistan team, because वहाँ पे it's a huge board. There's a huge organization. There are so many people who are involved in so many things that try to help you and everything. Whereas यहाँ पे थोड़ी आपकी responsibility ज़्यादा होती है.
Going back to the first season, I mean, जब आप franchise में involved नहीं थे, I'm guessing you were just a fan like us.
Yeah,
But now you're involved with Islamabad the first season.
yeah,
Wasim Akram was in the dressing room.
yeah.
Andre Russell was there. Brad Haddon, Shane Watson. What was it like being in those guys' presence? Did you ever have imposter syndrome? कि like मैं यहाँ पे कैसे आ गया?
अच्छा, बहुत एक तो I think some of this has to go back to my background as well. So my family is, I'll be honest with you, I'm aware of my privilege. So I've always come from a privileged background and everything. तो as such मुझे ना तो शौक था कि in fact I ran away from limelight growing up and everything. So मुझे as such star struck नहीं था. लेकिन स्टार स्ट्रक मैं ज़िंदगी में अपनी 2 दफ़ा हुआ हूँ. वसीम अकरम एंड ब्रायन लारा आर दी ओनली 2 पीपल जिसके सामने. सो आई रिमेंबर पीएसएल का ड्राफ्ट हो रहा था, पीएसएल 1 का, तो वसीम अकरम वाज सिटिंग एट द ड्राफ्ट. तो कोई 10 पिक होगी एंड आई हैड नॉट सेड अ वर्ड टू वसीम अकरम. एंड आई रिमेंबर वसीम अकरम आई थिंक कंप्लेन टू हसन चीमा और समवन कि इसमें किस चीज़ की आकड़ है.
Oh, yeah, because it translates
Yeah.
negatively.
So
Yes.
I remember saying, and then I said to Wasim bhai, masla ye hai कि I'm a huge fan. So I cannot openly say things that I want to say to you and all that. So वो Wasim Akram के साथ था, but other than that, in the dressing room, I don't think I've ever been starstruck as such. I've always tried to build good relationships with people, and I think it's part of the job. One of the things that I tell people, a lot of people ask me कि यार मैंने स्पोर्ट्स जर्नलिस्ट बनना है या मैनेजमेंट में आना है, तो आई टेल देम कि please remember the fact that you are not here as fans. When you talk to players and everyone, you need to understand that they have so many fans that when they realize that you are their fan, so they might not take you that seriously.
Yes.
So the thing is that you build an actual relationship with them, not a fan relationship, but an actual relationship, जहाँ पे आप you can humanize the player. And you can see that yaar, he's gone through so much trouble to get to this level. So I as someone who's here to facilitate them is nothing more than a facilitator. You cannot compete with their stardom. So it's might as well try to help them. And help आप कैसे कर सकते हो? आप उसको ये नहीं बता सकते कि यार तू कवर ड्राइव नहीं अच्छी मारता, कवर ड्राइव सीख ले. What you can help them with is कि यार उसकी फॉर्म नहीं है या कुछ नहीं, तो you put an arm around them and you tell them it's going to be fine. You got here because you're that good. So that this is a part of life. Everyone goes through ups and downs, and we forget cricket is just another profession. जिस तरह आप अगर इंजीनियर हैं या डॉक्टर हैं या बैंक में काम करते हैं, आपके ऑन एंड ऑफ डेज होते हैं. उसी तरह क्रिकेटर के भी ऑन एंड ऑफ डेज होते हैं, एंड द ओनली डिफरेंस इज कि जब क्रिकेटर का ऑन एंड ऑफ डे होता है तो पूरी दुनिया देखती है, जब आपका ऑन एंड ऑफ डे होता है तो पूरी दुनिया नहीं देखती.
And that's a very good point you mentioned earlier about the whole starstruck thing.
Yeah.
Because when we got into this line of work, especially last year, जब हम GT20 में थे and we had Fakhr coming in and going out and Azam and all these big players, हम लोग के साथ भी हो रहा था कि यार, oh my God, he's right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But then we had to calm ourselves down
Yeah.
because we had to be professionals. And that lesson that you just talked about, it really resonated.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys won four. You lost 4 of the first 6 matches in the first
Yes,
season,
yes.
and then you went on to win the first PSL,
Yeah.
and then you won 2 of the first 3 PSLs. So talk a bit about winning, like feeling on top of the world.
So I'll be honest with you. I do not have much memories of PSL 1.
Wow.
Because there was so much work at the time, and we did not have a huge team at the time. It was the first season, and it's the same for everyone. मैंने कोई एक्स्ट्रा काम नहीं किया था, सब टीमों का यही हाल था, बिकॉज सबका पहला सीजन था. और क्रेडिट टू पीसीबी, जहाँ पे people are critical of PCB, but pulling off that season 1, I still think you forget the fact that it started on 4th February and it ended, I think, on like in 14-15 days, maximum 17 days. पूरा टूर्नामेंट उतनी देर में करवाना और वो सब कुछ होना. सो आई रिमेंबर जब हम ट्रॉफी जीते तो आई वाज वेरी हैप्पी. आई रिमेंबर रनिंग इन द मिडल, ट्रॉफी मुझे याद है. उसके बाद मैं वापस आया तो मुझे रियलाइज हो, ओ आई हैव टू सेंड एवरी प्लेयर बैक टू देयर होम स्टेशन एंड आई एम द टीम मैनेजर. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ celebrating that victory, I was booking flights. And I was coordinating with the PCB to book flights. Every player needs to go back, and it was not. It's like when we won, I actually did not know it was this big. I swear to you, when we landed in Pakistan, is when I realized how big the PSL had become.
Yeah.
और मुझे अभी भी याद है कि मैंने सारा अपना सामान पैक कर दिया था कि वी हैड दिस फ्लाइट, सो आई हैड पैक्ड ऑल माय स्टफ, एंड मुझे रियलाइज हुआ वो कुछ पहनना है. तो आई रिमेंबर वो इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड की एक पूरा ट्रैक सूट था, दैट वाज द ओनली थिंग रिमेनिंग. सो वो ट्रैक सूट पहन के ट्रॉफी लेके हम जहाज में वापस आ रहे थे. तो वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स हु वाज इन द सेम फ्लाइट सेड टू मी कि यार कितना शोधा है तू, के तू पूरी किट पहन के ट्रॉफी पहन के. तो मैंने उसको उस वक्त कहा कि नॉट अ बिग डील ब्रो. बट व्हेन वी लैंडेड इन पाकिस्तान, आई रियलाइज्ड हाउ बिग द PSL वाज. एंड आई रिमेंबर मैं अपने घर गया और आई स्विच्ड ऑन द टीवी एंड इट वाज ऑल ओवर टीवी एंड एवरीथिंग एंड इट वाज ह्यूज. एंड honestly, realization आपको तब हुई थी जब आप पाकिस्तान आए थे, and that's why it's hugely important that PSL happens in Pakistan.
Yeah.
That was 2018, right, when you guys came to Karachi for...
That was like 2016. हम जीत के दुबई जीत के वापस आए थे. So this is the first PSL season. कि मुझे नहीं पता था कि how big an achievement it was. And I remember one of the greatest quotes. मिसबा ने मुझे जिंदगी में 2 ऐसी चीजें की हैं जो मैं सारी जिंदगी नहीं भूलूंगा. जो उसमें से एक चीज़ उसने मिसबा ने, आई रिमेंबर मिसबा सेड टू चीमा और मैं दोनों बैठे हुए थे, तो मिसबा ने बोला कि तुम लोगों को एक चीज़ रियलाइज हो रही है, एंड वी वर इन द सेम फ्लाइट कमिंग बैक. तो आई सेड व्हाट मिसबा, एंड ही सेड अभी इट टेक्स टाइम टू सिंक इन कि यू हैव डन समथिंग. ही सेड कोई भी टीम 50 PSL जीत जाए, 100 PSL जीत जाए, वी विल ऑलवेज बी द फर्स्ट विनर्स.
Yes.
सो आई रिमेंबर इट गेव मी गूसबम्प्स, इट स्टिल गिव्स मी गूसबम्प्स. और फिर हमने एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री भी तब बनाई थी यूनाइटेड वी वन के नाम से. तो उस पर मिसबा ने ये कहा था कि जो मर्जी हो जाए, द फर्स्ट PSL विनर्स फॉर एवर विल बी इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड, लेड बाय मिसबा उल हक. एंड आई रिमेंबर कि वो जो फीलिंग थी, एंड दैट किक्ड इन. कोई महीना बाद आपको रियलाइज होता है कि यार ओ दिस हैपेंड. And when we PSL 2 में वो जो everyone knows what happened in PSL 2 and we couldn't win the trophy, and we actually did not play that badly in the tournament, but we couldn't go all the way. But जब आप हारते हो ना, एलिमिनेट होते हो पहली दफा, तब आपको रियलाइज होता है वो पिछले साल हमने क्या किया था.
Yeah.
So I think it completely sunk in when we lost PSL 2 का playoff to Karachi Kings. And I remember it's a funny thing कि 127 हमने, I think 120 130 के दिमाग में, एग्जैक्ट स्कोर्स मुझे याद नहीं अब. But I was like, हाँ यार ये तो हम जीत गए हैं, and we lost. And that's when it sunk in कि this is the first time we are getting eliminated. The first time we are going home early. And then it sunk in कि oh, we had lost 4 out of the first 6 games in season 1 and we ended up winning the trophy. So I mean, took time to sink in. And then you asked about PSL 3. That to me is, I think in my career, the greatest achievement in terms of end results. Because what happened in PSL 2 inspired us even more in PSL 3, and the way the team played in PSL 3 was unbelievable. remember जब हम so people forget the fact कि Islamabad on paper was the best team in PSL 3. I'll be honest with you. And part of the reason is that because we finished fourth in the previous season, we had the second pick
Yeah.
in every round. ठीक है? So we knew we can, pick a good team. And our expertise at the time was the draft. So we knew we could pick a good team. And we knew we had picked a really, really good team. And I remember उस time पे, हमारी squad पे भी बड़ी चीज़ें आई थी कि they're so much better than other teams.
Yeah.
So people forget the fact that Misbah, who was our platinum player, got injured. Andre Russell, who was our platinum player, got injured. Roman Reis got injured. And so 3 of our top 6 players, most expensive players, got injured. And despite that, throughout the tournament, I do not remember a single match जहाँ पे हम stadium जा रहे हैं और मुझे लगा हो कि हम match हार जाएंगे. And that to me was a special feeling. I've never felt like that in my life कि आप इतनी अश्योरिटी है आपको. I remember वो PSL 3 का final when Asif hit those 3 sixes. People forget the fact कि अभी overs पड़े थे
Yeah.
और अभी हमारे पास और batters भी पड़े थे. आसिफ अली ने जो finish किया, Peshawar were on a roll, but at no point did we think कि this match is going to be out of our grasp. So that feeling of knowing कि you're that good, your team is that good, is something that was very, very special, and I will hold on to that feeling. And PSL 3 is something that I remember completely, every match. I mean लाहौर कलंदर्स का जो सुपर ओवर वाला मैच था, I know जब हम आंद्रे रसल ने आखिरी बॉल में छक्का मारा था, is the moment that we knew we were going to win this league. And that was, I think, our second victory in the first 4 matches. And after that, we went on to win almost. I think we lost only one match after that. Karachi Kings se hum ek dead rubber हारे थे.
Yeah.
Other than that, we did not lose a single game that season after the Lahore Qalandars win. So that to me is the most special feeling, knowing, going to the ground ke oh yaar, we're going to
Yeah.
win.
Wow.
शुरू के पहले 3 सीजन में डीन जोन्स का कितना बड़ा रोल रहा इस्लामाबाद के साथ? What are your memories with him?
I stayed in, so it's a very happy and a sad memory for me because Dino and I stayed in touch throughout. The day Dino passed away, I actually had a chat with him half an hour before he did, and it's one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life. That एक बंदे से मैं आधा घंटा पहले बात कर रहा हूँ, and we're joking about something, and half an hour later I find out that he's no more. Is one of the toughest feelings. But Dino and I remember. Season 2 से 3 से पहले I was in Dubai doing a hotel visit. PSL का उस टाइम पे था, तो T10 का ड्राफ्ट हुआ था. Dino was coaching one of the teams. So I still remember कि I was at, I think मैं लॉबी में जब था तो मुझे Dino कहता है कि ड्राफ्ट हो रहा है. तो I said to Dino, so he said come, join me. So I said what? He said it's an actual draft going on. So I thought he's just inviting me randomly. So I went and I was standing behind him. He said come join us at a table. So I thought कि 5-10 मिनट के लिए है, उसके बाद जाने देगा. Dino said pick our team. And I still remember telling Dino Dino, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I'm contracted with Islamabad. He said, I trust you. You're the guy who's going to tell me. That's how much he trusted me. And it was really hard to digest what happened with him. And I still feel that my career wouldn't be where it is without Dean Jones. And his influence on the team as well. Dino कभी किसी प्लेयर को ये नहीं जाके कहता था कि यार तू ए कर ले, तू बी कर ले, तू सी कर ले. Dino जाके उनको कहता था कि यार तुम इतने अच्छे हो तो यहाँ तक आए हो ना. अगर इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड ने तुम्हें पिक किया तो there is something special in you. So the identity of Islamabad United also, okay, when you play for Islamabad United as an emerging player and you play for Pakistan, is something that was Dino basically उसको बहुत hype up करता था. तो Dino की एक personality जो है ना, larger than life personality, वो resonate करती है अभी तक. A lot of people say about Islamabad United के यार ये थोड़े arrogant हैं, ये थोड़े वो हैं. वो जो Dino की influence on the team है ना, वो जो identity के अंदर चीज़ है, वो कभी नहीं जाएगी. और वो एक ऑस्ट्रेलियन आइडेंटिटी है कि डीन जोन्स अपना वो ले रहा है, स्टांस ले रहा है. रिमेंबर एक हमारा एग्जीबिशन मैच हो रहा था जिसमें उसने कामरान गुलाम को छक्के मारे थे एट द एज ऑफ 60 एंड ही वाज टेकिंग हिज स्टांस एवरी बॉल एंड देयर वाज अ सर्टेन एरोगेंस अबाउट हिम, अ सर्टेन swagger about him, which I think is still in the identity of Islamabad. So as a team, I think Dino where we are now is a lot of it has to do with Dino. And for me personally, I think he's one of the biggest contributors to my professional life.
Did you get a chance to see what's in his diary?
Always. We
क्या
wrote
drawing
stuff.
कर रहा था?
नहीं drawing नहीं. Dino was very, how do I explain this? Dino was very clever at you know, making people believe what he believed in. So the diary, he also has this mascot जहाँ पे वो फील्डर के पीछे जाके अपना एक शेरू रख देता था. तो it was very interesting. Like अगर कोई catch करेगा तो he was always, so Dino would never after a match point out mistakes. Dino would only point out positives. That's the one thing that I learned from Dino के कभी भी आपको जरूरत नहीं है किसी के नेगेटिव्स निकालने की. उसको पता है. मैं आपको एक चीज गारंटी देता हूँ. यू गाइस डू अ पॉडकास्ट. जब आपका बुरा पॉडकास्ट होगा ना आपको पता होगा. ठीक है. आपको कोई ये बताने वाला नहीं होगा कि यार दिस इज गुड, अमेजिंग वर्क. डीनो वाज ऑलवेज अबाउट दैट कि अमेजिंग वर्क. एंड सो आई ऑलवेज से कि डीनो इज लाइक, उससे मैंने इतना कुछ सीखा है कि मेरी अपनी पर्सनालिटी भी बहुत शेप हुई है बिकॉज ऑफ डीनोज इन्फ्लुएंस.
And
So
personally, how did it affect you when you found out that news?
I was
आपने बता रहे थे you were just on
I
phone
was
with him.
devastated.
How did they break it to you?
It's a very tough conversation because I remember I got a message from one of his colleagues at Star. और जो पहली चीज थी वो ये थी, does his family know about this? And then I had contact with all his family and I thought, should I be the one to tell them? So I waited at the time and I remember his family obviously found out and Brett Lee was there. So Brett Lee obviously, he spread the news. But I think it took me a lot of time to process it. And I'll give you an example. Like, people might think I'm just saying this. Every person in the world, ठीक है, आपकी कोई इंस्पिरेशन होगी. इंस्पिरेशन नहीं होगी तो कोई ऐसा बंदा होगा जिसको आप देख के कहते होगे कि यार इसका मेरी लाइफ के ऊपर मेरी पर्सनालिटी बिल्ड करने के अंदर बहुत बड़ा रोल है. So when you have that, who's not part of your family, like your parents, your wife, your children, they're all part of your family, but there's an outsider who has a huge influence on your life. So suddenly finding out that there's no more is very difficult to process. And to this day, I sometimes open Dino's messages on WhatsApp and go through some of his messages, laugh about it, joke about it. And Dino was something else. Like, एक cricket coaching होती है, but as a personality, he was very different. I've seen better coaches than him. I don't think I've seen a bigger personality than him.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
I want to talk about the emerging picks of Islamabad. आपने भी mention किया था कि इस्लामाबाद का जो emerging pick होता है वो eventually एक रीत बन गई है कि वो पाकिस्तान से खेलता है.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest contributions of Islamabad to Pakistan cricket was Shadab Khan.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you decided to draft him?
Yeah,
क्या उनसे conversation हुई थी?
I think इसमें emerging के ऊपर सबसे major credit जाता है, and I'm not saying this because he's the owner of Islamabad United, but वो आपको KPIs मिलते हैं ना जब आप hire होते हो किसी company के लिए. तो सबसे पहला KPI अली नकवी ने हमें ये दिया था कि I want to see a guy who's never played for Pakistan be picked by Islamabad United and goes on to play for Pakistan. So luckily season 1 में Roman immediately became that guy.
Yeah.
Then Hussain Talat was another one, Asif Ali was another one. All of them went on to play. Shadab, I remember PSL 2 के draft के अंदर. So Shadab wasn't, so we had retained like 16 players. At the time there was no retention limit. So we had one and we wanted to retain all our players. So we were into the supplementary rounds. And to our surprise and shock, Shadab Khan had not been picked up. And I remember Chima, myself, Misbah, Dubai में draft हो रहा था. This is one of the most vivid memories I have of a draft pick. तो उस वक्त ये रूल आया था कि आपको अपने लोकल शहर से प्लेयर लेना. तो I remember I said to Misbah, Misbah, this kid, leg spinner, he's not picked yet. I remember Chima saying, यार वो तो बैट्समैन भी बहुत अच्छा है. तो डीन एंड मिसबा लाइक हाँ यार वो मेरे साथ वनडे कप खेला है तो वो बहुत अच्छा है, फील्डर बहुत अच्छा है. सो one guy is saying he's a good leg spinner, one guy is saying he's a good batter, one guy is saying he's, and I remember Misbah said he's the best fielder in Pakistan. So like 3 people saying 3 different roles. So like यार अच्छा, लेकिन हम ले ही नहीं सकते because we have to pick an emerging player from Islamabad and he doesn't qualify for Islamabad. So I said, don't worry, let me see what we can do. So I remember Faisal Mirza at the time was hosting the draft. So I still, you can find the clip on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's one of the most amazing. I think वो हमारा कप्तान है अब तो बहुत और भी अजीब लगता है. तो आई रिमेंबर मैं फैसल के पास गया तो फैसल ने कहा यार इस्लामाबाद से प्लेयर लेना. मैंने कहा फैसल इस्लामाबाद से ही है. So Faisal Mirza I think announced on stage के Islamabad United have picked a player from Islamabad by the name of Shadab Khan. So Faisal is a really good friend of mine. तो उसने जब वो अनाउंस किया तो उसके बाद he was from Pindi, not Islamabad.
Yeah.
So then we had to pick a 21st player who was from Islamabad. So every team then got a chance to pick the 21st player. And people forget the fact that it was because Shadab Khan was picked in that category that the 21st pick was allowed. And, it's amazing that he went on to become captain. It's amazing that he was Pakistan's outstanding player in the 2022 World Cup, the T20 World Cup, and, the 2021 T20 World Cup as well. And he's currently the top wicket taker for Pakistani T20 internationals. It's surreal to think that this guy. So one of the most interesting stories, or hopefully you guys do शादाब का podcast, तो एक कोशिश कीजिएगा शादाब के podcast पे मुझे बुलाइएगा ताकि मैं स्टोरीज के सामने सुनाऊं और थोड़ा embarrass हो.
Yeah, we'll work that out for sure.
Yeah. So PSL 2 में शादाब का पहला सीजन था. तो आई रिमेंबर मैंने शादाब को कहा कि शादाब वो आप इधर खड़े हो जाएं. तो बेसिकली my management style is कि I'm always nicer to the emerging guys than I'm to the senior guys, because emerging guys need more. उनके साथ बदतमीजी करके क्या ही कर लोगे आप यार, ठीक है. तो when you need to take a disciplinary check, तो you take it on the senior players that it sets an example on the others. तो I remember शादाब को मैंने कहा शादाब आप प्लीज इधर खड़े हो जाएं. Faizan Lakhani from Jio wants to take your interview. So you stand here. I'll be back. Faizan will take your interview. So I remember I went to my floor. So I was on the 41st floor. This is the 6th floor in Dubai. And I forget, which is an unprofessional of me, but I'm admitting it on camera. So I forgot. Half an hour later, I realized, like, Shadab नीचे खड़ा हुआ है. तो मैं नीचे गया तो शादाब उधर ही खड़ा हुआ था. So like, why are you standing here, bro? You should have gone to your room. Like, आपने कहा था मैं यहाँ पे खड़ा हो जाऊँ. From that to saying to me, यार मुझे पता है मैं अपना क्या काम कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, आप तो चुप कर दें. That is a proud moment. Not for me, just for me, for Islamabad United as well. And I think the most proud I am of any individuals was the fact that Roman went on to become the captain of Islamabad United, an emerging player, the first emerging player in PSL history to become, and the second was Shadab. So for me, those two were really great moments.
And Shadab's link to Islamabad is very reminiscent of like जो US sports में देखते हैं, Kobe with the Lakers, or Michael Jordan with the Bulls. एक टीम के साथ एक लंबा अरसा गुजारना. Shadab is one of those players who stood by Islamabad through thick and thin.
Yeah, I think इसमें ये भी चीज़ होती है कि when a player has a very good first or second season ना, तो उसको काफ़ी ज़्यादा there's a I won't call it poaching. It's what, if you are that level of a player, तो आपके पीछे लोग आते हैं. हम भी नसीम शाह के पीछे गए, तो it's nothing wrong with that. So I remember Shadab had an amazing first season, and I remember that he went Pakistan के लिए पहली सीरीज खेला. He became man of the series against West Indies. Then Champions Trophy वो जीता. So I remember at the time he had like a few offers, and I remember talking to him and I said, Shadi, I know that you're talking to them. And I still remember what he said to me. He said, because you were loyal to me, I will always be loyal to you. The day you say to me that you leave, Rehan bhai, I will leave. But otherwise, it doesn't matter. I'll stay here. That's another reason for the loyalty that Islamabad United shows towards him. That's another reason that I have shown so much loyalty towards him, because he had offers. And he still remained very loyal. And I remember वो Champions Trophy जीत के आया, तो the first thing he did was कि Champions Trophy जीत के आया, सीधा इस्लामाबाद पहुंचा. इस्लामाबाद से मैंने उसको कॉल की, मैंने कहा लाहौर में एक इवेंट है तो तुम जल्दी से इधर आ जाओ. तो he did not refuse. उस टाइम PM की कॉल्स आ रही हैं, CM की कॉल्स आ रही हैं कि इधर आओ. तो पहली चीज़ जिस पे वो आया वो एक TCF का इवेंट था, the Citizen Foundation. RCS are partners and they do a great job. So हम जा रहे थे रास्ते में एक पेट्रोल पंप पे हम रुके तो हम पेट्रोल डलवा रहे थे तो मेरी गाड़ी में था रिमेंबर तो वो गाड़ी से उतरा तो एक अंकल ने आके कहा कि बेटा जो तुमने कहा ना पैड है पैड है पैड है तो वीडियो हमने इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड के पेज पे भी चढ़ाई थी तो शादाब वाज एट द टाइम शॉक तो आई रिमेंबर उसका इंटरव्यू था तो उस पर उससे पूछा जर्नलिस्ट ने पूछा कि व्हाई इज इट के चैंपियंस ट्रॉफी जीत के दिस इज द फर्स्ट प्लेस यू वांटेड टू कम टू एंड हिज रिप्लाई वाज बिकॉज रेहान भाई ने मुझे कॉल की so going from that to being so media savvy now and to I'm not hesitant to say this on record कि अब वो bachelor's की अपनी degree भी complete कर रहा है he's studying along with playing cricket
That's amazing.
and it's just like the growth in him as a person is that something I'm proud of. As a cricketer you have ups and downs but as a person he's grown and that's what you want to see in people. You want to see them grow.
जितने प्लेयर्स भी इस्लामाबाद से खेलते हैं उनका एक यूनिफॉर्म बिलीव ये है कि इस्लामाबाद इज़ अ फैमिली जो टीम में आते दे डोंट वांट टू लीव इस्लामाबाद अभी जो ड्राफ्ट में ट्रेड्स हुई थी आई हर्ड के सम पीपल हु वर ट्रेडेड दे weren't willing to be traded
Yeah.
they wanted to stay आप लोगों ने प्लेयर्स की बहुत सपोर्ट भी की है
Yeah.
इसमें रुमान रईस भी एक प्लेयर जिसको इंजरी हुई थी आप लोगों ने उसकी बहुत सपोर्ट की what was the whole story behind Ruman's injury?
I think I will. मैं हमेशा ये बोलता हूँ कि मैं कभी भी ये information disclose नहीं करूँगा unless Roman wants to disclose this. What I will say is कि players don't want to leave Islamabad United because we are loyal to them and we don't want to leave them because they are loyal to us. So कभी हमें किसी प्लेयर से ये कंप्लेन नहीं हुई कि उसने अपना 100% नहीं दिया. यू कैन नॉट आस्क अ प्लेयर कि वो हर मैच में 3 आउट कर दे T20 मैच में और वो 50 स्कोर कर दे. What you can ask them is to give their 100% and come back off the field knowing that they tried their best even if it did not work. So I have never seen a player who's not done that. And आज जिस दिन वो नजर आएगा उस दिन हम भी उसको उसी तरह ट्रीट करेंगे. But I think the environment becomes as such and because वो day one से एक चीज सेट हुई हुई है कि you know you look after us, we look after you. So that culture resonates. And then, someone like a Naseem Shah coming in and saying himself that he wanted to join Islamabad. On record as well. I mean, people have asked so many times कि यार हाँ उसने ये टीम ज्वाइन किया है लेकिन वो तो इसलिए अब ये कह रहा है क्योंकि उसने ये टीम ज्वाइन कर लिया but he said it on record so I don't need to say any further. So yeah, that's what we're proud of. We're proud of building that culture where players want to play for you and don't want to leave you.
It's a very supportive culture, and I think it goes back to the thing you were talking about with Dean Jones. His spirit lives on
Yeah,
with this loyalty
yeah.
and people who want to stay, and the fact that players don't want to leave. It's the culture that you guys have created.
एब्सोल्युटली एंड वो डीनो की एक चीज़ है ना वो अक्सर आप ऑस्ट्रेलियन से एसोसिएट करते हैं रूथलेसनेस. आई एम सॉरी बट दैट्स नॉट द केस. दे व्हाट देयर थिंग इज टेक ऑफ प्रेशर, पुट प्रेशर ऑन द ऑपोजिशन नॉट योरसेल्फ. सो अभी आई लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स पीपल आस्क मी यार वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया नॉकआउट मैचेस हमेशा जीत जाता है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया हमेशा एक. देखिए जब पैट कमिंस वर्ल्ड कप जीत के वापस गया ना तो उसको कोई लेने भी नहीं आया. ठीक
Yeah.
है, वो उनके ऊपर कोई प्रेशर नहीं है. वो हार भी जाएंगे तो 10 बंदे उनको कुछ कहेंगे. उनके मुल्क की सबसे इट्स नॉट देयर मेजर स्पोर्ट. पाकिस्तान इज वन स्पोर्ट.
Fourth biggest sport of
Yeah.
that country, I believe.
सो पाकिस्तान में देयर इज ओनली वन स्पोर्ट, इट्स क्रिकेट, राइट?
Yeah.
इवन एज अ फुटबॉल फैन आई एडमिट इट, इट्स क्रिकेट, राइट?
True, yeah.
So we have far more pressures than them. What I've learned from Australians is कि यार back each other, support each other, and tell each other whenever you're going through a tough time, you are good enough and you have the spirit to fight back from this. वो ऑस्ट्रेलियंस को कहते हैं ना कि यार दे नेवर गिव अप. वो इसीलिए है कि उनको पता है कि यार मेरा बुरा दिन भी आया तो मुझे कोई गालियां नहीं देगा. मैं अगले दिन आई विल बाउंस बैक एंड एवरीवन विल बी बिहाइंड मी.
Yeah.
My teammates will be behind me. So, players necessarily do not need support from, fans. मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ इमोशनली इन्वेस्टेड है, उनका गुस्सा जायज़ है. Teammates की support, people in positions of authority, उनकी support is more important to players than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. We had Mike Hassan on the podcast, the coach of United this year, and he had a very integral role in the New Zealand camp.
Yeah.
When he joined New Zealand. New Zealand was 8-8-9 in the seeds.
Yeah,
And he brought them into a World Cup final
yeah.
at home.
First time ever.
First time ever. It's been a while since we've seen Islamabad in the finals, unfortunately. And Mike Hassan se bhi pucha tha ki how are you going to bring that mentality over? So I'm going to ask the same question to you. It's been a while since we've seen Islamabad in the finals. You've gone through one of the toughest toughest tours that I would say the Pakistan team has ever gone to. India mein World Cup ka. We'll come to that in a bit. But what have you learned through this journey, and what are the steps being taken to ensure that Islamabad sees another final this season?
I think number one that I've learned from this is ke never overcorrect. Um, things go south. That does not mean you abandon all your beliefs. It's important to stick to your beliefs. Important to back the team that you've picked. देखिए फ्रेंचाइज क्रिकेट में ये होता है कि आपने 20-25 बंदा पिक किया है, वो आप उसको फेंक नहीं सकते, वो आपकी टीम में पूरा सीजन खेलना है, तो इंस्टेड ऑफ थ्रोइंग देम अंडर द बस यू प्रोटेक्ट देम. नंबर वन. नंबर टू is ke if you try to read too much into one failure, you will end up getting more failures. So I think that's very important. Number three is, how do you, like, a lot of times I've said this on a couple of podcasts as well, so what is clutch? I'll ask you this question. What do you think is clutch?
Clutch is that like
Someone who can perform under
tiger
pressure.
instinct, right? Pressure के ऊपर overcome
अच्छा, तो
overcome the
सेमीफाइनल
challenge.
के अंदर अगर किसी ने 100 की, दैट्स अ क्लच परफॉर्मेंस, राइट?
100%.
तो अगर एक टीम सेमीफाइनल तक पहुंची ही नहीं है, तो क्लच परफॉर्मेंस तो नहीं हुई ना. टू गेट टू द क्लच moment, you need to do clutch before that.
Yeah, it's a series of clutch performances. Yes.
So every performance for me is clutch. When you win a match, a performance is clutch, right? So number one, get there. Number two, don't overthink. And very important के take one step at a time. I remember PSL 3 की मैंने अभी आपको स्टोरी सुनाई कि at no point did we think we'd lose. PSL 6 में we did not have great draft picks. I think we picked a decent team, and I think on paper it was competitive with the other 5 teams. The best season we've ever played. We won 8 out of 10 group games. So I think in terms of performances, what we got out of the team, the identity, the shuffling of the batting order, sending Fahim in at number 4 when we were chasing 197 against Karachi, completely throwing every, traditional book out of the window, and then winning 8 out of 10 matches is I feel our best season. And we ended up losing playoffs. And then we read too much into it. So there's no reason to read too much into it. You go step by step. Don't think about the final, and you will, inshallah, obviously, then reach the final.
Well said.
Yeah.
You're a math guy. There's a big debate on the whole Naseem Shah trade. अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ कि Naseem Shah averages 1 wicket in the PSL. His economy is just over 7. He's just coming back from a shoulder injury. What did it make sense for Islamabad to take him in Islamabad team?
Okay, so I'm a math guy, and I will also tell you that stats on the surface without context are completely useless. Without context, I think अगर आप मुझे कहते हो कि एक बंदा 50 की उसकी एवरेज है और उसने 10 PSL के मैच खेले हैं और 50 की उसकी एवरेज है, नाउ इट विल साउंड अ ग्रेट स्टैट, बट फिर मैं आपको स्ट्राइक रेट ऐड करता हूँ, एड्स अ लिटिल बिट मोर कॉन्टेक्स्ट टू इट, राइट? फिर मैं ऐड करता हूँ कि उसका स्ट्राइक रेट किस मैच पोजीशन के अंदर ये था. इट एड्स अ बिट मोर कॉन्टेक्स्ट इनटू इट. So Naseem's impact in the PSL, in terms of his impact, is really, really high, because the 1 wicket that he picks per match is usually of the opposition's best batter. That gives you double points on impact ratios, right? Then the other factor that he has is कि जिन overs के अंदर traditionally teams go for a more higher runs, Naseem के वो overs are less expensive. So I'll give you an example. Over 5 is one of the most difficult overs. Over 5 is one of the most difficult overs to bowl in the power play. तो ओवर 5 में अगर आप 10 से कम स्कोर खा रहे हो, 9 खा रहे हो, तो वो बहुत अच्छा है. आप बहुत अच्छा ओवर करवा रहे हो. लेकिन जब आप स्टैट देखोगे तो आपको यार 9 की इकोनॉमी, ओ यार इसको तो मार पड़ी है. बट वो 9 की इकोनॉमी किस स्टेज पे है, किस पिच के ऊपर है, दैट मैटर्स. सो नसीम्स इम्पैक्ट रेशियो इन द PSL is amongst the best. In the last 2-3 seasons, it's amongst the best. That's why you go after him. Number 2, why you go after him? How old is he? Right?
20.
20, yeah.
Yeah, so it's an investment you make for the next 5, 6, 10 years, right? So it's a no-brainer. And then add on top of that at the end of the day, franchise cricket is also a business.
Yeah.
So he's one of the biggest stars in Pakistan. So you take all that into account and then do the math, and it's a no-brainer. So, math is not done in isolation. आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि, 2 + 2 is 4. I understand that. But, in terms of 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, if I need 6, how do I make that? Would it be 3 plus 3, 4 plus 2? What's the best permutation that gets me there? So Naseem, I think, was the best permutation that got us there. And Naseem is not an investment for this year only. He's a long-term investment.
सही है
for sure.
सेम विद हिज ब्रदर्स as well कि मतलब तीनों शाह भाई एक टीम में आ गए
Yeah, how did that work? Like, is that like chance or?
No, so basically, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, जब हमारी ड्राफ्ट पिक्स पहले अनाउंस होती हैं, फिर ट्रेड विंडो खुलती है, बिकॉज देन यू नो कि मेरी ये ड्राफ्ट पिक है. तो हमारी चौथी पिक थी ड्राफ्ट पे, एंड वी वर लाइक, oh, there's no way Naseem Shah is going to come to us.
Mhm.
He's already in talks with 3 other teams with better picks than us in the draft. They can give their pick and get Naseem Shah and get a player. Why would Naseem end up with us? तो हमारी इमर्जिंग की पहली पिक आ गई. आई थिंक 9 PSL के सीजन में दूसरी दफा हमारी पहली पिक है. इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, आई एम श्योर समवन विल पॉइंट आउट के ओ
The
यार
comments are already raging.
yeah, someone will already point out, oh, इसको तो पता ही नहीं है. But from my memory, not googling, I think it's only the second time where we've gotten the first pick. So we're very sure about Hunain. Very, very sure, because Hunain had an outstanding T20 national T20 tournament, and the fact that his death overs were amazing, and we were struggling in the death overs. So very obvious Hunain's one of them. When the Naseem trade happened, obviously we went out of our way to get the Naseem trade done. A lot of behind the scenes which I cannot comment on, cannot disclose.
We'll pick your brain after the show.
Yeah, but what I'll tell everyone is ke no team, Multan, Karachi, Peshawar, Islamabad, Quetta, the 5 teams involved in this. Lahore obviously don't need, because they have Shaheen, they have Haris, Zaman, तो उनका bowling attack sorted है mostly. But ये जो बाकी 5 teams है, Quetta, the one team that's trading him out, and the other 4 teams, इनमें से किसी टीम की कोई गलती नहीं है. Everyone tried their best, and hats off to everyone for keeping it kosher. I don't think at any time did it become ugly. And you know, a lot of people have said it became ugly, but even मुझे issues थे कि यार ओ यार ये किस तरह कर दिया. But they were within the rules, within regulations. So you know, you cannot fault any one of them for trying to get a Pakistani cricketer who's going to play for Pakistan for the next 5-10 years. Is a star. Everyone wanted him. So I'll just say that in the end, it came down to the fact that this guy wanted to join this team, and that's how he ended up at this team.
And then how did the brothers end up coming
Okay,
to?
so Hunain का मैं पता था.
Yeah.
Naseem हमने trade कर लिया. So we had written 6 names. So 6 में से ऑलमोस्ट सारे पिक हो गए हमारी बारी से पहले. तो सबको रिमाइंड करा था, चलो इमर्जिंग कैटेगरी राउंड 1 पिक 1 इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड, इमर्जिंग कैटेगरी राउंड 2 पिक 5 और 6 इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड, राइट. तो हमारी तो आखिरी बारी थी, तो वी थॉट उबैद तो हम तक बचेगा नहीं.
But you had your eyes on Ubaid.
Yeah. So he was one of the 6 names that we had written down in the emerging category. So I remember Hunain पिक हुआ, स्टूडियो शो था, मैंने सिल्वर राउंड में जाना था, सिल्वर राउंड में जा नहीं सका बिकॉज शदाब kept saying नहीं बैठे. So eventually the broadcaster said you have to go to the studio. So I went to the studio. So I came back from the studio and Shadab's laughing, Azam's laughing, and I'm like, Shadi, why are you laughing? And he goes, ha 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 ha, जो आप नहीं चाहते थे वो होने लगा. तो मैंने कहा क्या होने लगा? He said Ubaid Shah. It's like no. And okay, so I say this on the record. Ubaid Shah अगर PSL का बेस्ट इमर्जिंग प्लेयर हुआ ना, तो मेरा कोई क्रेडिट नहीं है उसमें. शदाब खान एंड माइक हसन का क्रेडिट है सारा. एंड आई हैव नो शेम इन एडमिटिंग, कल को मैं इसको कोई क्रेडिट नहीं लूंगा कि उबैद शाह को मैंने कहा कि ले लो. He was one of the 6 names that we proposed. I proposed he was one of the 6 proposed names. But I actually thought कि अगर हम इसको पिक करेंगे तो नैरेटिव ये बनेगा कि इन्होंने तो नसीम से डील ही ये थी कि हम तुम्हारे भाई पिक करेंगे.
Oh, I see.
Right? And the other thing is Naseem was very against us picking the brothers. तो वो भी आप उससे ऑन रिकॉर्ड पूछ सकते हैं इस पॉडकास्ट पे. I'm sure वो आएगा तो उससे पूछ लेना. उसने मुझे हुनैन पे भी कहा था कि यार लोग ये ना समझे. बट देन वी टोल्ड हिम कि यार इट्स अ क्रिकेटिंग रीजन, ये कोई तुम्हारा वो नहीं हो रहा, ये कोई मार्केटिंग स्टंट नहीं है. वी जस्ट वांट बिकॉज़ दैट गुड, दैट्स व्हाई वी वांट टू पिक हिम. तो उबैद पे तो बिल्कुल ही उसको ज़हन में गुमान में भी नहीं था कि उबैद मेरा तीसरा भाई पिक हो जाएगा. तो आई रिमेंबर मैंने माइक से आई सेड माइक व्हाट डू यू थिंक? माइक सेड इट्स माय कॉल. I said yeah, it's your call. He said cricketing reasons. I said completely back you. If this is a reason, no issues. He said I'll take the blame for it. And मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि कुछ कोचेस होते हैं जिनके साथ अभी माइक के साथ मैंने काम करना शुरू किया है. 3 कोचेस मुझे ऐसे मिले हैं अभी तक, और मैं ऑन रिकॉर्ड भी ये बोल सकता हूँ, जिनके साथ मुझे इतना ट्रस्ट लेवल है कि all these three coaches, they will protect you and they will protect their staff as long as you are loyal to them. So Dino, Mickey Arthur, and Mike Hassan are the three coaches I've worked with who are like this. So I think Mike at the time also said, I'll take complete responsibility for it. So, and Shadab kept laughing in the background. And I remember before the draft happened, a day before the draft, Shadab said to me, ये देखना, ये सारे भाइयों में से सबसे ज़्यादा अच्छा है. So I said, how do you know? मैं बस कह रहा हूँ आपको. Like, Shadi, please sit down. Let us see. But he said कि वो जितनी देर आप इंटरव्यू करने गए थे हमने पीछे से कर दिया माइक और मैंने. तो I was like, okay, fine. And the World Cup that Ubaid's had, I put my hand up and I say, sorry, Shadab and Mike Hassan. You guys were right.
Has Ubaid been clocked yet? How fast is he?
I think under 19 में speed gun होती नहीं, but from what I understand, he's 140
Nice.
and he's still developing.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's for optically, I think it's great. And we've seen precedents again. I want to come back to the NBA. The Antetokounmpo brothers all play for the Bucks.
Yeah.
I think a trade ho gaya. But there is precedence of this, and if they're that good, then why not pick them?
I
Right?
remember दो स्टोरीज हैं. तो जब पहली दफा हुनैन शाह की बात हो रही थी तो माइक ने तब नसीम से बात की थी. उसने कहा था कि देखो, आई हैव हैंडल्ड ब्रैंडन मकलम एंड नेथन मकलम इन द सेम टीम. सो आई नो कि सिबलिंग्स का एक दूसरे की तरफ प्रोटेक्टिव भी होते हैं, बट एट द सेम टाइम राइवलरी भी होती है, सिबलिंग राइवलरी. और तीसरी चीज़ मैंने इनको मैनेज किया हुआ था, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. नंबर 2 ये है कि जब उबैद शाह की बात हुई तो मैंने आई रिमेंबर आई कॉल्ड नसीम शाह, सर नसीम यार वो उबैद भी पिक कर लिया है. लाइक यार रेहान भाई. एंड आई सेड नसीम वो मैंने तुमसे पूछना था कि तुम लोग के और भाई हैं. तो ही स्टार्ट लाफिंग. तो ही सेड हाँ बड़े भाई हैं वो बिजनेस करते. मैं कहा चलो उनसे स्पॉन्सर ही करवा दो.
उनको भी ले आओ.
Yeah.
No, that's lovely, यार.
PSL के एक्सपेंशन की बात होती है. अगर आप शुरू से इन्वॉल्व हैं तो अगर मैं आपसे बोलूँगा PSL कंसल्टेंट की हैट पहने.
Yeah.
लोग बोलते हैं PSL should probably look for a auction style instead of draft ताकि हम लोग बेहतर फॉरेन टैलेंट को अट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so मेरे काफ़ी thoughts हैं इस पे.
Let's go.
Sometimes I'm worried about saying them on record, but okay, fine.
This is the place to say
This
them.
is
Rehan bhai.
this is Islamabad United's podcast, so
It's a
Yeah.
safe space.
yeah. So number 1 ये है कि बैट फ्लिप कहाँ पे हुआ? बिग बैश में, राइट? So बैट फ्लिप किसका बनता है? हमारी गली क्रिकेट में टॉस नहीं होता, बैट फ्लिप होता है. And I was extremely jealous of when they did it, right? So that was, in terms of innovation, it was Pakistani, not Australian, right? So ये ऑक्शन वाली जो चीज़ है ना, ये it's not पाकिस्तानी. मुझे वो बहुत पसंद आया था जब एक सीजन ड्राफ्ट की वो हमने बारियां लगाई थी और वो जो सैंड के ऊपर उसके ऊपर से पिक किए थे किसकी क्या बारी हैं. दैट्स आवर कल्चर, राइट? ओन योर कल्चर. ऑक्शन और ड्राफ्ट का हाइब्रिड मॉडल जो है, मे बी दैट्स द वे फॉरवर्ड. बट ऑक्शन तब हो सकती है जब आपकी सैलरी कैप उस लेवल की हो, राइट? And let's be honest about it. Our salary cap is not at the level with the league that does the auction. There's no other league in the world that does the auction, right? The direct signings and everything. But direct signings के साथ ये मसला है कि how do you disclose that, right? Like आप दोनों players हो, मैं कहता हूँ यार मैं आपको पिक कर रहा हूँ. No one knows मैंने आपको कितने पैसे दिए हैं, right? How do you manage the salary cap then? So those are issues. If you can regulate those issues, then fine. But I'd still suggest find a Pakistani way out of it.
Yeah.
What is the Pakistan way out of it? And वो बारियां लगाने वाला was very interesting. Maybe we can come up with 6 icon players. Like the BPL के अंदर होता है कि बोर्ड भी सब्सिडाइज करता है, सब कुछ करता है. Maybe we can come with 6 icon players or 12 icon players. दो एक टीमों को जा रहे हैं, एक टीम को जा रहा है और फिर उनकी बारियां लग जाएं. सारी टीम्स वो दें कि यार ये प्रेफरेंस ऑर्डर है हमारा. फॉर एग्जांपल मैं रिटायर्ड प्लेयर्स की बात करूंगा, करंट प्लेयर्स की नहीं करूंगा ताकि कंट्रोवर्सी ना हो. तो AB डिविलियर्स, ब्रायन लारा, वसीम अकरम, ग्लेन मगरा, शेन वॉर्न, ये सारे आते हैं. तो सब कहते हैं हमें AB डिविलियर्स चाहिए. तो उसकी बारियां सैंड के ऊपर वो आप लगाएं बारियां, जिसकी पहली बारी आ जाए वो AB डिविलियर्स ले ले, दूसरी आ जाए वो हो जाए. सो आई मीन दैट्स हाउ यू कैन डू इट. But come up with your own way is what I would suggest in this.
You mentioned the Pakistan way, and I think we want to sort of pivot towards the Pakistan tenure of yours.
Yeah.
I mentioned before that I think you had one of the not the worst, but one of the hardest tours
Yeah.
that Pakistan has gone
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
in the Asia Cup and the World Cup. Just right off the bat, like how did it go? You're in the eye of the storm. Tell us what you can.
I think in in terms when I first joined the PCB, तो मेरा role बहुत different था to what it evolved to. So I think मैं सबको ये बताना चलूँ कि the first time I got a call was from Mickey Arthur. Mickey Arthur called me, said that, do you want to be team manager of Pakistan? And at the time I was like, mm, is this for real? He said, yeah. I said, yeah, let me think about it. Then I spoke to a couple of my friends who work in cricket. I won't name them. They're like, are you kidding me? You should be doing this. Said, okay, fine. Spoke to Mickey. He said, yeah, come in. Then when I got appointed as manager, my first job was the New Zealand series, the T20s and the one days.
जो local
Yeah.
home series होती.
And I had a much larger role at the time in terms of the fact that I was involved in hiring, consulting for the staff for the under-19s, the NCA, the Emerging Asia Cup as well. Over time, it obviously changed because the chairman changed. That's how it is at the PCB. But I feel it's one of the best experiences I've had. If given an opportunity to do it again, I will. And maybe do a lot of things differently. But I will only do it if it's the original role that I got, not the role that it was reduced to. Eventually, I think in terms of my managerial and operational abilities, I think Asia Cup manage karna, I feel is one of the strongest achievements of my professional career. कि जितनी हमारी travel थी और सब कुछ करना, I don't think we had any issues in that. World Cup India manage karna, I think operationally, logistically, it went as smooth as it could have gone. That was my job there. Results wise, it could have gone better. I do not blame any of the players. I think we could have done better. I think I could have done better in terms of maybe being more supportive than I was. And वो एक reiterate होती है ना चीज़, अक्सर लोग मुझे कहते हैं ओए अब तो तुम्हें समझ आ गई होगी कि प्लेयर जो हो नहीं, अब ज़्यादा सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत है बिकॉज पाकिस्तान टीम का प्रेशर एक और है.
Yeah.
उधर ज़्यादा सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत है. उधर नहीं उसको उसको तो उसके चाचू ताए मामे अब्बू बहन भाई वो सब बता रहे हैं कि वो यार तूने स्कोर नहीं किया. ठीक है, तो उसको उस वक्त तो नहीं चाहिए कि यार एक और बंदा आके उसको कह रहा है कि यार यही तूने क्या किया. तो they need more support there than anywhere else. So I feel ke in terms of experience, it's one of the best experiences of my life. In terms of learning, I learned so many new things, so many different ways to handle pressure, and learned so many different ways of how to handle pressure and seeing the players. And it was an absolute pleasure working alongside Mickey Arthur. I know people will say a lot of things, and maybe मैं अगर ये बात करूँ तो लोग कल को कहेंगे ओ यार ये तो मिकी के कैंप में है. I don't care. Genuinely a nice person, genuinely loved his players, genuinely loves Pakistan cricket, and genuinely wants the best for Pakistan.
When you were in the eye of the storm, what was the toughest day that you lived?
Pakistan versus South Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go with a different answer, but I guess you trumped me there. क्यों?
एक तो मैच बहुत इंटेंस हो गया था. बिहाइंड द सीन्स कंकशन का प्रॉब्लम हो गया. कंकशन के ऊपर जो लोगों ने बोला वो तो मुझे आज तक शॉकिंग लगता है. डॉक्टर कह रहा है कि यार there's a chance that this guy may die because this is his second concussion in the last 12 months. If he gets a third concussion, he might
Not make it.
Yeah. So please, like, this is a medical advice, not from अगर आपको PCB के डॉक्टर से इशू है fine. This is from ICC, right? And there are people on the TV who are saying कि इसने ड्रामा किया. ठीक है, that rubs off on the entire team then, because everyone then becomes यार अगर ये इसके बारे में ये बोल रहे हैं तो हमारे बारे में पता नहीं क्या कर रहे होंगे. ठीक है. And that too coming from one of your ex colleagues becomes really difficult, right? Number one. Number two, उस मैच के अंदर वो जो मैसेजेस थे कि जी मुझे मैसेज आया कि नहीं आया, उसने मुझे मैसेज भेजा कि नहीं भेजा. आई वोंट गो इनटू डिटेल्स ऑफ दैट. तो उसमें ऑब्वियसली आई वाज देयर एज वेल एंड आई वाज लाफिंग एट इट. बट हाउ डू यू कंट्रोल दैट एंड हाउ डू यू मैनेज दैट एंड देन द एंटायर टीम वो जी मैनेजरियली पीछे ये चल रहा है, और उसके बाद आप इतना क्लोज मैच आ रहे हो जहाँ पे एक 50-50 डिसीजन अगर आपके फेवर में चली जाती तो आप मैच जीत जाते. एंड देन प्लेयर्स इन द ड्रेसिंग रूम आर हार्ट ब्रोकन. हाउ डू यू And that for me was one of the toughest days as a manager, not just, Pakistan team, but Islamabad United as well, to, make sure that the team gets up from this.
How do you console them then?
Actually, you can't console them. You're just there for them. You're like, if you want to vent, I'm here. If you have any complaints, I'm here. Any complaints about me as well, I'm here. Maybe I was wrong, but let's get over it, move on. We are professionals, let's move on. There's a next match. It's never the end of the world. And what you tell them is, the one thing that you need to realize is that you're alive and there's a next day. You can rectify what happened. So that's the best you can do.
There's also a team psychologist with traveling with
Yeah.
the team. Does that help? Do are players comfortable to opening up with him? Like, does that help with the
I think
mental side of the game?
I think that's a cultural problem in Pakistan. Personally, for me, I'm someone who's very open about mental health. I feel that mental health is one of the most important aspects of your life, not just in cricket, anywhere else. So personally, मेरा point of view इसके ऊपर बहुत clear है. But I always believe psychologist is individual rather than team. तो individual level के ऊपर होना चाहिए. As far as Mr. Max Babri is concerned, who was with us, I have nothing but respect for him. He was very supportive. I think some of his comments were amazing. But वो मैक्स बाबरी का कसूर नहीं था कि he was thrown into the deep end. मैक्स बाबरी का कसूर नहीं था कि प्लेयर्स को पता ही नहीं था एक बंदा आ रहा है. मुझे नहीं पता था. तो उसका कसूर नहीं था बेचारे का. मैं अभी तक कहता हूँ कि even now I have still deep respect for him and he's genuinely good at his work. People should respect what he does. It was not his fault. Let's not blame him. Let's not throw him under the bus. But we're not culturally, it's a Pakistani problem के especially athletes के अंदर. और ये पाकिस्तानी athletes मैंने around the world ये देखा कि मर्द बनो, गेंद लग गया खड़े हो जाओ. I
That
mean,
toxic masculinity.
Yeah. So that's a cultural issue that has nothing to do with the psychologist.
Nahi, Brian, you've been great so far, and I am very positive that this year is the year that things will turn around. We'll see Islamabad back in the playoffs, back in the finals. Do you have a message for the fans who are supporting? You've spoken so eloquently and with your heart. इनको कोई message देना चाहेंगे आप?
I think fans को मैं सिर्फ एक मैसेज देना चाहूँगा इस्लामाबाद यूनाइटेड फैंस को कि आपका गुस्सा बिल्कुल जायज़ है. और गुस्सा आपका जायज़ इसलिए है कि you have great expectations from the team and maybe we've let you down. Not maybe, we have let you down, right? But we try our best every day. The players, मुझे आप छोड़ दें. The players, I will assure you, will give their 100% for you fans. And please, please, please wear red when you come to Rawalpindi. Show other teams कि हमारा home crowd का कितना level है. Let's make it a fortress. हारो या जीतो, that's a separate thing, but let's make sure that when an away team visits Rawalpindi, they know they are in Islamabad United's background. Just like, and I give huge credit to Lahore Qalandars for this. Lahore के against match खेलना is one of the most difficult experiences, and I have, as Pakistan team manager and in other leagues, played at away venues. Playing at Lahore is one of the toughest experiences against Lahore Qalandars. So let's make Pindi that.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think your message is loud and clear. The fans have heard it, and hopefully by the time this comes out, you will see that result. Rihan Ulak, thank you for being so honest. Thank you for speaking from your heart, and thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.